So you look at the people who are saying no to you as your opportunity to get to the yeses.
Well, this is one you're going to want to sit and listen to from the very beginning to the very end, because Rene Godefroy is spectacular. The man has overcome adversity beyond what you think is adversity. I mean, we're talking about poverty, a village in Haiti with no family, disease, no food, just a terrible situation for any child to be in. And yet, not only did he survive, but he thrived, found his way to America. He found his way to the hearts of many people. He auditioned, as he says, for everything that he did, and he did it to the fullest extreme. So whatever job he did it all the way, which got him noticed. That opened another door, and then another door, another door. He eventually spoke it. He declared it that he wanted to be a motivational speaker and an author, and he did that. And now he's helping millions of people overcome adversity. He's helping millions of people just by motivating them enough to realize that they are blessed beyond means already. Don't let a bad day or a bad decision or a tough time get a hold of you. Turn it around now. I hope you really enjoy this podcast as much as I did. All right. So without further ado, here he is, Rene Godefroy. Rene, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Dino. It's a pleasure to share some insights in my story and my journey with your audience.
You know, I'm particularly excited because I saw you on stage at Sales Mastery in Dallas just about a month or so ago now. And it was a very moving speech you gave. The time you spent up on stage brought a lot of people to tears. I saw it personally. And I even came home and I told my wife asked, how was it, right? And my kids were there, 11 and 13, and I asked some questions to them. I started telling a few things. I saw nobody was interested, so I pivoted and I went right to your story. And all of a sudden everybody was interested. And it was touching, but it was also a valuable lesson I was able to teach my kids. So I wanted you here because, everybody listening here primarily does loans. They're in the mortgage business. And everything we talk about is always how to help them be better, right? How to get better, how to do more loans, how to treat their clients better, how to be better humans. But but the reality is it's not just about the skills they have on how they do loans and how they treat their clients and how to do business things. But I think your story can, in my own words, get people off their butts and stop complaining about things that really aren't all that bad. Because what you experienced in your life is 10 times worse than anything anybody, 100 times worse than anything anybody here is going through. And I love the fact that somebody listening right now today can hear it and hopefully get off their butt and say, I got nothing to complain about. I am no longer going to complain about something that is meaningless and that I can overcome. So I want to get your story out. With that said, take it away. Tell me how it all started. And then I'm just going to interject every once in a while to bring it back into the loan business again.
Thank you very much. Wonderful introduction. And yeah, it was a pleasure meeting you at the Sales Mastery. The journey started in a tiny village in Haiti, very primitive. There was nothing in the village. My mom left me behind when I was only 9 months old. Not because she was a bad mother, but she figured out that was the best way to end poverty and misery for me. And I stayed with a lady in the village. She didn't really care too much, but she kept me because of the benefits, hoping my mom would send a bar of soap or some sugar. The people in the village, most of them gave up on me because right after my mom left, several deadly diseases pounded me. I was very, very sick, and they used to tease me. They used to ridicule me. They'd call me Suyan and Kokobe. Kokobe is a Creole word that means crippled, and Suyan was actually a guy who was crippled in the village. So they believed If I survived, I would be crippled. But there was one person who actually cared in the village, Dino. That was a great grandma Stefan. And she was about 90 plus years old, sick in bed, but whenever they would tease me, I would run to her, and then she would tap me on my shoulder and she would say, "Your mom is coming for you." They used to give her a piece of bread. She would break it into half and put half under her pillow and wait for me. I was about 6 years old, 6.5 years old. And I'd go say, good morning, Grandma. Good morning, Grandma. And she would reach under the pillow and give me the piece of bread. The only person who really cared. One morning, I went to her and said, "Good morning, Grandma Stefan." And she didn't answer. She didn't even open her eyes. And I said it again. The lady came from behind me and said, "Sorry, Grandma Stefan passed away last night." And I remember I was this kid. I threw myself on the floor and I started crying. That was the moment, Dino, when I realized I didn't want to be in the village anymore. I didn't want to face the teasing, the ridicule. Uh, there's one point I want to make here. People will try to predict your future. People will try to tell you what's good for you, what's not good for you. They'll try to discourage you. They might say directly or indirectly to you. They play God in your life, just like those people in the village tried to play God in my life, but they are not your maker. The decision ultimately comes down to only one person, you. You decide, and case closed. When I said I didn't want to be in the village anymore, there was a truck that used to come to the village every Wednesday by the name of Voisifan. It was an old ancient truck. In fact, the first time I saw lights was the time I saw the headlights of that truck at night, and I got dizzy. I ran away. I hid behind a tree. When the truck would come, I always hoped my mom would be on that truck. I would run to Mrs. Adrian, where the truck would stop to pick up people and to drop people off, and I would be as tall as the tire, tapping on the side of the truck. Excuse me, is my mama on this truck? I would ask all the people. I would run around the truck and ask. They said, "No, your mom is not on the truck. But please, if you see her in Port-au-Prince, the city, tell her I am suffering in the village. Life is so tough. The people are teasing me. Tell her to bring for me," I would say. Over.
Renee, I got a couple questions real
Go ahead.
quick. And at that age when your grandma died, how old were you?
I was 7 years old.
And how about when your mom left?
My mom left. I was only 9 months old. I didn't know my mom. I'd
Oh,
never
wow.
met her before. When I became aware of my surrounding, they told me that she left. She went to Port-au-Prince to try to find a better way to provide for me. I was mad. I was angry. I didn't want to really accept that excuse. Eventually, she got the message and she sent for me. And now I was going to leave the village. I was going to go to Port-au-Prince to meet my mom for the first time. I had a brother and a sister in Port-au-Prince. I did not know them. There was a guy, older guy, Stelle, who took me, who was my companion, took me to the city. When I was leaving the village, the other kids, they were kind of like sad because I saw them bathing in the water as I sat on the truck my first time on a car. Really, that was like a miracle to me. This thing is like taking me away. And they wave at me and I waved at them and they say, "Wale, Wale, you are leaving us," as if they were going to be sad or something. But when I was in the village, they didn't really want to play with me because I was too frail. I was too sick. When I speak today at corporate America, the message is always very simple: appreciate the people who work for you, appreciate your team members. Don't wait until they are leaving to feel kind of sad. You want to give him an exit interview. I tell him all the time, give him a stay interview, not an exit interview. Show that you care, appreciate them so that they can stay. That's how I felt when I was leaving the village. And now, do you know, I'm in Port-au-Prince. Now, a village with one car coming through the village, one dirt lane road. Port-au-Prince was crazy. Lots of cars, motorcycles weaving through the crowd. The drivers banging on the side of the top trucks. Move out of the way, move out of the way. The street merchants yelling mangoes, avocados, and a lot of noise. Busy city. And I was kind of confused. I was like 7 years old, and I remember Stellan. He grabbed me and he said, "Son, welcome to Port-au-Prince." And he took me to where my mama lived. I was thinking my mother was rich because, hey, after all, I saw so many cars like Mercedes Benz and all kind of cars in the city. I saw lights, street lights, and mama must be rich. But when I got there, I was disappointed. Mama was not rich at all. She lived in a dungeon infested with rats and roaches. My brother, my sister, and I, whom I met in the city, we slept on the floor, the dirt floor, with the rats and the roaches crushing over us all night. There were mornings when I would wake up, the rats would nibble the bottom of my feet. And now I have a message for the people listening to me, especially the people living in these United States of America, the land of which I'm so grateful for and so many take for granted. The message is I am one of the most, probably the most grateful human beings on the face of this planet because every day I wake up in this great land of plenty and people are still complaining, people are still making excuses. I mean, like when I talk to salespeople and I tell them how many doors that you have you can knock on, how many times can you be rejected and still be massively successful because there are many doors to knock on. You are in America. This is the United States of America. And gratitude is my heart is full of gratitude. I would go to the gas station and I put like $50 in my car. I'm not even thinking about it. Most people now listening to me, it's just like, yeah, I just fill up my tank. But do you know that $50 is a lot of money for millions or even billions of people around the world? We have to wake up every single day. We have to count our blessings. Do you know, I believe that gratitude is the key that unlocks the vault of abundance. Like if you got a rejection, if you, for example, did all the paperwork and this person decided to go to like another route, they didn't want to go with you, you still have a million or probably on let me say unlimited opportunities. You can move away from that person and still be grateful that this rejection means I'm still in the United States. There are still more opportunities. And
Say that quote again. The gratitude is the key that unlocks what?
the vault of abundance. Yeah, it's impossible to be grateful and be depressed at the same time. That
Yes.
cannot happen. If you are depressed, I'm not talking about being clinically depressed.
Right.
Like business is not doing good. You're not closing enough sales. If you feel that way, that's because you are not grateful. You are not grateful for the few yeses that you received in the past. And those that are coming in the future, you are focusing on the rejections, on the no's, on what's working. So th- the gratitude is like I do 1 hour meditation every single day, and a good 20 minutes of those of that 1 hour is about gratitude because I know it is the key to the vault of abundance. No matter how bad things are for you, no matter how tough is the time for you right now, you still have millions of things to be grateful for. At least you wake up in America.
So let me ask you this question. How how do you how do you fix this? I don't even know how to ask the question exactly. You were in a situation where it was true survival, and then you figured out how to have gratitude, but first you had to survive. People here don't have to survive, and they throw a fit over something minor when what they still have should be gratitude over everything else that they still have, right? I mean, they have so much, but how do you get through to these people, right? That are struggling with with whatever it is that's failing in their life. But after listening to you, I'm just going to say, how do you get through to people that are struggling with gratitude? Because they obviously don't have it. If they feel like they're struggling with something, what do you do? How do you do? How do you fix that in these people?
As a leader, the first thing is compassion. You have to realize that people are living their programming. It's not their fault, right? They don't know that there are other ways, other opportunities. They don't know that there are alternatives. They don't know that they are living in the world of infinite possibilities, right? And so what they keep, so I talk a lot about quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics is everything is a wave of probability, possibilities. But most of us, for example, when the motivational speaker I am today, uh, I was that motivational speaker when I was a kid in the village in Haiti. That version of me already existed as a wave of probability, possibility. Now, the moment I align myself, I'm on the same frequency with that motivational speaker, I step into it. Okay. So most people collapse the wave in a way that does not serve them. So every problem shows up with a solution. It's impossible for a problem to show up without a solution. Otherwise, it would not be called a problem. All right. So the opportunities within that problem, we're going to see that opportunity or opportunities based on the question that we ask ourselves. So if we can ask the people who are dealing with it the right questions and get them to shift their focus because your question will determine the direction you are heading to. For example, if you say, how come I am so broke? You will only get answers about why you are broke. If you ask the question, how come I keep getting rejections? That's the answers you will get. But if you get the question is, how can I get more yeses? How can I make more money instead of how come I am so broke? The moment you change your question, you change your reality. You collapse the wave to a new reality that serves you. When I say compassion, let's go back to when I was in Port-au-Prince. One day I was really hungry, I was really starving. I went to this lady by the name of Tatida in the neighborhood. She was just as poor as the rest of us, but she was like a prophetess to me. She could predict the future. And I went to her, I was crying. I said, Tatida, life is not fair. How come I'm so hungry and my mom has nothing to feed us? I don't think I'll ever be anything. I don't want to be in this life anymore. I remember Tatida grabbing my hand with a lot of compassion. And she looked at me, which is what leaders do, straight in the eyes, like with a penetrating stare, so compassionate. And she said, Rene, hunger comes, hunger goes. Just because you are hungry doesn't mean you don't want to live anymore. And she told me, Rene, there is something in you that is there forever. That is your resilience. That is your spirit. Rene, stay in the fight. One day you're going to make a name for yourself. One day people going to be inspired by your story all over the world. She predicted that. So the leader can do that for every single person. You can show them they cannot see because of so many the problems, the rejections, or whatever, or maybe what they've been through life, all those things create a barrier. They cannot see a bright future. So just like Tatida, the leader can paint that picture for them, can help. Soon as after she said that, I went to a place called Champ de Mars. And Champ de Mars in Port-au-Prince was like Champs-Élysées in Paris or Central Park. The American tourists used to come to Champ de Mars. They had carnivals and all kinds of activities there. And I was this kid walking behind the American tourist with an extended hand, begging for whatever they could afford. One American couple gave me a dime, and the lady touched me so compassionately. As a result of that, I said to myself, one day I'm going to go to America to eat lots of rice and chickens. That was it for me, right? But today I'm about sick of rice and chickens. Life is good, right? I want the caviar, the lobster. But that was the dream for me to come to America because rice and chickens were luxury for us in Haiti because we were so poor. And the moment I said that, I collapsed the wave of probability or possibilities to one possibility. I'm going to the United States of America. The moment you collapse the wave, it's not enough to collapse the wave, but you have to be able to see it, feel it, and visualize it. You know what I did? I began to collect little American flags, and I would go to sleep with them on the floor. And I'd looked at them, and I when I would see the airplanes taking off, and I would be mesmerized and see myself on one of those airplanes. To me, America was the promised land. I knew if I ever come to America, that's all I need. I will find my way. I would do whatever is necessary. I would be willing to pay the price to live the American dream. And sure enough, it happened for me. It was a long window of time because I was 21 the first time I was at the airport, and I was not heading to America. I was going to Montreal, Canada. I remember the first time I stepped inside the airplane. I touched the carpet for the first time. It felt so good. The chair, I sat in the chair. I kind of like wiggled, like I'm wiggling. It felt so nice. The flight attendant looked at me and said, "Are you okay, sir?" I said, "Oh, ma'am, you just don't understand. This is my first time. This thing is really good." And I'm smelling the food coming from that's when they used to have real food on airplanes, right? If you're old enough, you know what I'm talking about. I'm smelling the food. And she came, she said, "Sir, what is your choice, Monsieur Godefroy? Uh, do you want chicken? Do you want beef?" And she started giving me choices. And I'm like, really? I have a choice? For the first time in my life, I have a choice. And I looked at her, I said, "Can you give me everything, please?" And she said, "Oh, sure, I'll put a little bit of everything on the plate for you." And now, boom, I am in Canada, a great country, but make no mistake, Canada is not the promised land, was not the promised land to me. The United States was the promised land. I found a way to make it in the United States. That was like 42 years ago. I was 21 years old, right? And I am in Canada, and I began to inquire. I even went to the American consulate to try to get a visa, and I got denied, but eventually I made it to America. It wasn't a safe trip, but I made a promise. I said, "God, I promise you. If you help me make it to America safe, I will not waste my life. And I kept my promise. Now, since I've been in these United States of America, I've never been to the unemployment line. I have to really make this straight. Never been to the unemployment line. I've never begged or asked for anything because all I needed to be here in this country because I knew the moment I arrive here, I will find the opportunities they are everywhere. I know people are born here, it's hard for them to see the opportunities. But I was not born here. I came here, I saw them. Uh, look, I'm in America, Dino. Okay, I didn't speak English. No, I didn't speak any English whatsoever. But I learned two words. Same thing. Same thing. So I started using those two words to the max. Everywhere I would go, like I remember going to McDonald's. I didn't know what to order. The person in front of me would order. I would stand right behind the person. When they say, "May I take your order, sir?" I'd say, "Same thing." Now, you know, same thing was not always same thing, right? It was different time. To this day, I'm still using those two words because I talk about modeling success. Let's talk about modeling success for a moment. There are people in your office, Dino. There are people in offices with rock star sales professionals, people who are crushing it in spite of the economy, in spite of what's going on in Washington, D.C., or in America. There are still people crushing it. What do? I study their success. I'm not here to reinvent the wheel of success. People come to a company, they have systems that they can follow step by step, right? Like if I'm talking to you, you are my mentor. I want to know what time do you go to lunch? You tell me at 11:30, I'm going to go to lunch at 11:30. I'm talking about step by step. I'm going to follow the script. Go
I
ahead.
always say success leaves behind clues.
That's right. Success leaves clues. And if we don't pay attention, we'll never see them. And the clues are all around us. The superstars, the people crushing it out there, they are doing something right. Why not study their success? People ask me all the time, um, how did you go from being a doorman, which is how I started my speaking career, right? Well, first I was in Miami. Okay. I know I'm jumping, right? You can stop me anytime if you want some clarity, Dino.
I'm
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 in,
going to come back at the end and ask you a ton of questions. I've been taking
uh,
notes.
uh, absolutely. Okay, great. I'm in Miami. I don't speak English. And I went to McDonald's I was looking for a job. The guy didn't give me the job because I didn't speak English. Now, mind you, I was applying to pick up trash in the parking lot. So on my way out, I got really mad. I was thinking, do the trash cans in America speak English? All right. But on my way back, there's a saying that goes, don't get bitter, get better. On my way back, I saw a parking lot, a bank called Total Bank, South Miami. I saw a lot of people with nice cars going to the bank, and I had an idea. I was like, those people are business people, they are busy, they don't have time to wash their cars. What if I started washing cars in that parking lot? I had $3. If you want to know how to start a business in America with $3, let me tell you. I went to Goodwill. I bought me some used towels. I went to the dollar store. I bought me a bucket and a bottle of dishwashing soap. That back then everything was like 50 cents a dollar for real in the dollar store, not like today, right? And I went to the bank and I started knocking on doors. I was walking behind the American tourists. That's the thing I remember when I was a kid. Now this time I'm not a kid. I'm 21 years old. I'm not asking for a handout because, like, you know, I don't believe in that. I was doing that in Haiti because I had no choice. By the way, if my mom knew, I would be in trouble. Even though she was poor, she didn't, the concept of asking for a handout is out of the picture for my mom. Okay. I begin to knock on doors. Excuse me, wash, wash. And I have my towel. And one rejection after another. No, no, no. But guess what? I'm in America. I'm in America. There are some yeses on the other side of the nose. I knew intuitively resilience, if I stay with it, if I kept asking, somebody will say yes. And here's the thing about the nose will put you in a mood, it'll put you in a mindset that will, it's like the law of attraction, right? It'll put you in a frequency and a vibration that will keep attracting more people to you to say no until you stop focusing on the no, you keep focusing on the yes. So you look at the people who are saying no to you as your opportunity to get to the yeses. Sure enough, one guy at the bank said yes. He was driving a green Saab. You remember Saab?
I do.
Really?
Yep.
And I detailed that car as if it was going to go to a showroom because it was my opportunity. Every time we are delivering our services, our product, we are auditioning, we are showcasing for more businesses. I have people who complain, business is not good. Well, how many sales did you close? They'll say just like 3 or 5. Okay, let me show you how to multiply those 5. I would go to a wedding, and I remember I saw this lady at a wedding doing the catering service, and I told her, "Do you realize they paid you to showcase in front of 300 people at this wedding? Do you realize that? What are you doing to leverage this opportunity?" She didn't know. Every time, again, I'm going to say that you are performing, you are delivering your product or service. And in fact, it is called the moment of truth in customer service. It's your opportunity to showcase, like, it's crazy, people pay you to showcase your product and your service. That's what I did with that green sob. The guy came out and he said, how much? And when he saw the car, he couldn't believe it. He said, how much? I said, two, 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 $2, sir. He gave me $5 and he said, how long are you going to be here? I said, oh, yes, sir, here, I'm going to be here. He said, hold on. He went inside the bank. His uncle was one of the top executives in the bank. Next thing I know, another guy came. He said, are you ready? Are you ready? I said, yes, yes, yeah. He gave me his keys. I took the keys. Same thing again. I was auditioning again. I was showcasing again. And he came back. This I didn't know how much, right? The first time I said two, two, two. And then when he came back, he said, how much? That second guy. I said, oh no. I said $5, sir. Five. Now I know my price, right? And then my business started in that parking lot in the bank. People just like they couldn't get enough of me, you know. They just keep bringing me more and more business. Like like there are people, you have a few customers right now. It's like a cemetery. They are like dead customers, but every person is connected with so many people. Like you can buy a $10 Starbucks gift card and write a handwritten thank you note and put that and send it to that person. Just let them know if they know anybody who might benefit from your products or service. That's it. And that alone can build your business. So that was my opportunity in America. And, my business took off, right? Until a maintenance manager came and he figured I was using too much water and electricity inside the bank. He basically fired me. But something, when I was in the bank, Dino, I used to see the top floor. And I always ask myself, who gets to go to the top floor? Now, Even though it was very hot outside, I could step inside the bank on the first floor, get a little AC, but I didn't know I could as a new immigrant, unable to speak English. But I used to say to myself, one day I will go to that top floor, even if I had to go there to pick up the trash, to be a janitor. I left the bank and went to the whole journey, became a doorman and the whole thing. I've done a lot of things. I was a CNA certified nursing assistant, taking care of a Jewish man by the name of Mr. Otovitz, and I took excellent care of him. Again, I was showcasing. When he passed away in the hospital in my hands, like just me and him around 2 o'clock in the morning, the family, everybody in the family, they went crazy. They wanted me to come work for them, do this for them. I like so many offers. I was in my 20s. So many offers came to me because of what I did for Mr. Onovitz. Okay. And after Mr. Onovitz, that's how I got the job at the hotel. I became a doorman at that hotel, taking care of, delivering superior, excellent customer service at the door. And again, that opened, no pun intended, so many doors for me while I was a doorman still at the hotel, because I had this thing in my head. Every time I'm deli- every time I'm delivering my product or service, I'm literally showcasing. Thus, that's why I'm having this conversation with you, Dino. You saw me on the stage, and you saw how I was connecting with the audience, and this connection is not by accident. It's because I was listening to Todd Duncan. He said a story about uh what's his name again? Dan Marino, I believe, right? The football player, right?
Yeah.
And he asked him, I think that was the name he said. And he asked him, he met him, he said, how many hours, how long do you take to prepare for a game? And he said, minimum 50 hours. 50 hours. That's when I was thinking, wow, for a guy who is a superstar on the team, he spends 50 hours to prepare for one game. How many hours am I spending to prepare before I meet with that one client, that one customers, to know as much as I can about this one customer? How many hours do I spend to meditate, to prepare myself before I go have that meeting? Which books, which chapter I'm reading to center myself to get ready. When I get there, I can be fully present. That's what I do before every speaking engagement. I spend so much time researching the client, understanding them, right? And then I go to the room, I see the room, then in my hotel room, I close my eyes and I spend 1 hour and I go to that room in my imagination and create everything you saw that was happening in the room. I saw it before the audience could actually see it. And people say, don't you get nervous? No, I don't, because this is a return visit for me. I've been there before. And that's a lesson for people. Stop taking your clients, your customers for granted, right? Start understanding they are the gateway for you. You are auditioning. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Value that one customer. I'm telling you, you will become a superstar in your company. You will be a rock star in your company in no time if you keep that in mind.
Yeah, I'm just gonna comment a little bit. Um, I have a saying that when I'm talking and coaching is that, you know, don't get excited about a 5-star review on Google or Yelp. I said it's almost an insult because you're doing your job adequately. You didn't piss anybody off. And that to me doesn't get you, it doesn't grow your business. And in our numbers, 100 million, right? Like $100 million a year producer is a big producer. You don't get to 100 million by getting five-star reviews. You get to 100 million by having systems in place, showcasing every opportunity you get, auditioning, as you say, right? And then getting a 10-star review. Even though it doesn't exist, you have to get the 10-star review every single time. Otherwise, you will not get referrals from people. Otherwise, you will not get repeat business from people. Doing your job adequately and getting a five-star review means nothing. And it fits in perfectly to what you're saying because you have an opportunity every single time you have a client to to show off, showcase, audition at the very highest level you possibly can, and that alone can 10x your business every single time.
10x every single time you with that one customer in front of you, you collapse the wave of opportunity as if this is the only person in the world right now, and you are fully committed whatever you will do. And as a doorman, the reason I was so successful is anticipation. I'm always anticipating what the guests will need during their stay at the hotel.
So my father, recently I've been thinking a lot about him. He passed away about 12 years ago. He is a Greek immigrant, came here when he was 20 and loved our country, loved it. Said there is no place on earth that gives you so much opportunity to make money doing the darndest things that you can't make money in other places doing the kind of things you can do here, right? And I think about as you're telling me a lot of the stories, I think a lot about my father. Uh, he didn't take days off in the beginning. He got the worst jobs in the world because they were the only jobs he could get. But he told me a story one time about because still to this day, a lot of the Greeks, any culture, whatever, right? They still don't speak good English. And I asked him, and he said it's because they never got out of the kitchen. Because when the opportunity was there, they didn't bother trying to learn. They didn't bother trying to educate themselves. They just stayed where they stayed in their lane. They never bothered changing lanes, right? He goes, I kept trying to mimic other people that were successful, which is exactly what you were said, right? I kept trying to learn how to be better. And I learned how to read and I learned so eventually I got out of the back of the house and went into the front of the house. And it's another reason why everybody, why Greeks are in the restaurant business because where else could they work? They always started in the restaurant because in the back of the house, that's where the jobs were. But my dad got out to the front of the house and he kept getting better and better and better. And that gave him that opportunity. So if you and my dad, who didn't have any money and didn't speak a language, could communicate with people without being able to speak the same language and show love, I think you were showing love to people and anticipate. My dad, when you said that, it clicked because my dad anticipated every single time. I grew up in the fast food business, and there is. I'll tell a quick story. So a lot of the Greeks, he said, on the menu, they would put everything you could possibly imagine on the menu, and he hated that. He loved the In and Out style. I don't know if you have In and Outs where you're at, but it's a very limited menu. And he told me, he goes, Dino, they don't call it fast food for nothing. If you have a fast food restaurant and you can't produce food fast, you're failing. So he goes, you need to anticipate. You see two guys walking up. He goes, if you have a huge menu, you don't know what to put down. If you have a limited menu, you're going to put down two hamburgers. He goes, by the way, if they look like construction guys, make it two doubles, make it a French fry, make it a large Coke, anticipate, have it ready, give it to them right there. And you being the doorman, you could anticipate. And I think the lessons we should learn for the common person that was handed luxury, that was handed blessings right out of the womb. We should not take that for granted, and we shouldn't be spoiled. We talk so often about how the younger generation is spoiled. Well, we all are. We're all spoiled. And we all need to get beyond ourselves and think about others and think about how we can give gratitude to the world. And I believe it'll all come back to us 10x.
Yeah, guaranteed, guaranteed. Yeah, your dad was a very, very wise man. Uh, I love, by the way, I love Greek foods. The gyro, and we have one here at the mall. What was it? The franchise that you guys were involved with? Oh,
No, no, everything my dad just created on his own,
mm,
and like any good Greek, they usually name the restaurants after him. So it was Mr. Pete's, and then later he went towards Mexican, and he called it Senor Pedro's, and and everybody kept asking how we got the food to taste so good, and the reality is it was Greek style. We would put Greek oregano and lemon on everything, and that's how our food tasted so good.
yeah, but yeah, I hope the people listening, Dino, they really. You talk about having systems earlier. It's great to have systems, but we also need implementation. Most people are addicted to information, but they are allergic to implementation, right? So
Yes.
we have to implement. If we the system means nothing without the right people who are taking consistent action to make it happen. And we know most people know what to do. It's not, we are not perishing today for lack of information. We are perishing for lack of implementation. If we can discipline ourselves every single day, and growing up, you watch your dad, the kind of discipline that he had, like that's how he was able to create what he created. It's the implementation, consistent implementation, just like you in this podcast, your consistency. That's why this podcast is successful. That's why you have so many downloads, because you are consistent. So, people who are listening now, make a commitment to yourself that you are going to implement what you already know. It's not you don't need any more knowledge anymore. What I do, Dino, I remind people of what they already know. I'm not teaching anything new. There's nothing I said right now that is new information to anybody. My job is to remind you of what you know and to inspire you or to even challenge you to start massive implementation. That's the key.
Yeah. I've heard that from Tony Robbins before.
Yeah. Yeah.
He speaks a lot about that and how, without it, without implementation, knowledge means nothing, right? It's worthless. So I like that. So I want to know what was, let's call it your big break. Was it becoming a doorman? Maybe it was a pathway, but still there is a big jump from being a doorman to where you are today. Tell
Yeah.
me about that.
Yeah. There's a big jump. I'm a doorman after Mr. Arnovitz. One of the family members actually helped me get a job at the hotel because they own an attorney. They were attorneys. They own a big law firm. They were representing Stoffer back then, Stoffer Hotels. I'm a doorman at the hotel. I am actually learning a lot, learning how to communicate. I'm discovering books on the back seat of the cars, and I'm reading those books. No, excuse me. I was not reading books back then. I was studying books. I'm studying those books. One of the books that I found is by a lady called Dottie Walters. God bless her soul. I believe the name of it is Speak and Grow Rich. So I discovered suddenly you can run your mouth in America and get paid for it. What a country. I said to myself, hey, I've been running my mouth all my life for free. I mean, why not? Now, Listen carefully. Who said, I said, I'm going to be a motivational speaker? Who said that? I did. You don't wait for permission from anybody. You are already pre approved. You don't need approval from anybody. If you say it, you declare it, and you believe it. Not just believing it, you know it for certain that it is your birthright, because you would not have a desire if there were no opportunities to fulfill the desire. Slowly, I'm going to say that. You will never have a desire unless there are provision already for you to achieve whatever it is you want to achieve. So when I said I was going to become a motivational speaker, many people didn't really believe that I could. I remember this one guy, he was my supervisor, and I went to him and I said, I'm going to be a motivational speaker. He said, Huh? You're going to be a motivational speaker? I mean, like, who's going to listen to you with your Haitian accent, the way it is? I said, Yeah, I'm going to be a motivational speaker. In fact, I'm going to write a book. A book, he said. Do you have any credentials? Do you have a PhD? I said, Yes, I do.
You're like, I'm a doorman. I've seen it all.
Yeah. I said, I have a PhD. My PhD is for P is for persistence, H is for hope, and D is for dream. When I share my dream or my goals with anybody, I am not looking for approval. I'm looking for a little bit of encouragement. If you cannot give it to me, you need to get out of my face. That's all there is to it. Case closed. And I went out. I I took consistent action every single day, even while I was a doorman. I was already writing my book. I was already creating my little brochure in a program called Quack Express back then. And I'm doing everything. Every step you take every single day, you remember I talk about uh, the versions of yourself that are already in existence. Every call you make, every step, every meeting you go to, you are aligning yourself, you are putting yourself in the frequency of that person or that achievement or that dream until you are in total alignment with that frequency. Just like a radio station, you are turning that dial every step that you take, you are turning the dial. And then once you get into the right frequency, and bam, because the universe does not give you what you want. The universe only give you what you are. Until you become that person, you are vibrating, talking, and walking into that frequency. You can never attract that which you want. You can pray all you want, you will pray. However, if within you, you don't really know for certain, you don't really believe, you don't really see it before you can have it, like smell it and touch it and feel it in every fiber of your being, and know that this is yours, this belongs to you, it's not going to happen. You got to be in that frequency. That's what I was doing as a doorman. I met this guy Dino, and I was doing I call it the Godefroy Dorman philosophy. That's what I call it, right? And I was doing my thing at the door, and this guy was standing there watching me. I didn't know why he was watching me, and then because I'm heading to my big break to you, right? I don't know why he was watching me, and I went to her. I said, "Sir, may I serve you?" And he looked at me. He said, Are you planning on working here for the rest of your life? I said, No, sir. I have a dream. I'm going to be a motivational speaker. Remember, I'm declaring it. I'm declaring it. As a matter of fact, I'm working on a book, sir. I'm going to share stages with all the big names out there. When he heard me, actually, he was working for Aflac. His question was a recruiting question because he was recruiting people in the field, right? When he heard my passion, my fire, my commitment, my desire, he just gave me his business card and said to me, keep my business card. You never know. One day we might do business. I took the business card. I went home and I pinned it next to my desk. And I kept looking at it and I kept saying, one day I'm going to be the keynote speaker for AFLAC because they used to have the conference at the hotel every year. Okay. And guess what I used to do? And I'm saying all of this to show people how to activate the law of abundance in your favor. The law of attraction is not about saying or repeating stuff. It's about doing and doing and doing to put yourself in that same frequency. When I would get off at the hotel at 11 o'clock, everybody would be going home and I would be heading to the ballroom where they prepare for the conference, the opening keynote speaker in the morning. And I'd go to that ballroom at night, just me and the empty chairs. And I'd deliver my speech to the chairs. And I'd say, this is my audience. Now, the chairs, they couldn't go to the bathroom or anything. They were a captive audience. You know what I mean? They had to be. And I would just declare and decree and see it and visualize it. I would do that so many times. 10 years later, I left the hotel. Now I'm speaking full time. I'm like, ready, but the phone was not ringing. The calendar was empty. I took my chance and I took the leap. Okay.
And how old were you at this point?
And I'm at this point, I'm like 30. I was like probably 36 or 38 years old. Um, I was, I started at the hotel in my late 20s. I was there for like 15 years or 15 years at the hotel, right? And the phone rang. Back then, we didn't have cell phone or anything. Caller ID. I picked it up. It says Aflac. And I say, hi, this is Rene Godefroy. And the voice goes, hi, this is Lance Osborne. I said, Mr. Osborne, I remember you, sir. You gave me your card. Let me read your card to you. And I pulled the card and I read the card to him. And I read he said, son, everything is wrong on the card except for my name. Back then, he was a sales field coordinator, but now he is a vice president for AFLAC. And he said, I was looking on Google for a motivational speaker in Atlanta, and you showed up, and I remember you. now, now, do you see? He went to Google, he typed motivational speaker in Atlanta, he saw me, not by accident, because back then I mastered search engine optimization and I was dominating the search engine and I studied it, right? And he said, we have a conference going on, and there's a senator who is supposed to be there. And but there's a mandate. He can't leave Washington, D.C. We are considering you. I said, okay, great. He said, give me 2 weeks and I'll let you know if it's a definite. And sure enough, 2 weeks, that was a definite. He booked me. And that one Aflac keynote, when I went on that stage, I just stood on that stage and looked at the audience. I said, so many times I've been on this stage in front of you. And I told him the story, how I used to do that at the hotel. And I gave that speech, and the rest is history. I got so many bookings for AFLAC. I was traveling all over the country speaking for AFLAC. And that was a big breakthrough for me, besides when I keynoted the National Speakers Association. And that was it for me, right? And that one speech, bam, really did it for me. But when I was at the hotel, when I said I was going to be a motivational speaker, Dino, and I know time is really the clock is really ticking. I said I waited. I would go to the schedule to find out who are the motivational speakers who are coming to keynote the conferences, and I would see Jeffrey. Have you heard of Jeffrey Gitomer? No, yeah, he's like the king of sales. Wrote a lot of book, the Sales Bible, and a lot of back then, right? And I would see Dan Barris and a bunch of big names. What I would do, I'd make sure they schedule me when they are coming. And I'm there as a doorman. I would meet them. Hi, sir. I'm Rene Godefroy. Welcome to the Waverly Renaissance Hotel. I'm going to be your doorman and I'm here to serve you. But I have a dream, sir. I'm going to be a motivational speaker just like you. I'm going to share a stage with you one day. I am saying all of that. And then, sure enough, I saved all my tip money, the tips that I was making. I went to my first conference for the National Speakers Association, and I went straight to all of those big names. Hi, sir. This is your doorman from Atlanta, sir. Remember me? I told you I was going to be a motivational speaker. Here I am. That's how I got connected with all the big names, all the speakers. And then that's it.
So I got some questions. Um, I'm going to tie this back in because it's kind of interesting. I've been spending a lot of time on AI in the last. I told myself I'm going to do a 30-day sprint where I'm going to learn everything I can about AI and start implementing. Right now, I'm in the process of trying to create my clone, and in order to do that, I have to give a lot of context to the clone to know who I am and why I am the way I am. So I asked it to ask me a lot of questions, whatever it needs in order to be able to produce the perfect clone. And what came up was my dad a lot. And I had the luxury of having a father who spoke into me all the time. He made me an extremely resilient man who's not afraid of work and who has a positive outlook and can turn every negative situation into good. So I resonated a lot with everything you said early on, right? And how if there's a problem, it also comes with something good on the other side, right? And if you have faith, you can't be depressed. You can't be negative, right? Like I resonate with all that stuff. And I think to myself, in the early years, I'm gonna say I wasn't compassionate to people because I'm like, why can't you be like this? And I realized not everybody grew up the way I did. I realized some people had a terrible upbringing, terrible parents, terrible scenario. But you had a terrible, beyond terrible situation. You didn't have your mother from 9 months until 7 years. You had a grandmother, and I don't know how much she spoke into you, but it sounds like, she at least showed you some love. But that's all you had. You didn't speak of a father, so I'm not sure what that scenario was about.
Yeah.
Didn't exist, right?
Mm-mm.
How did you have this resilience? And I know there was a piece there in the early years where it was survival, but you got mocked, ridiculed by the kids. You had no love, not anything that would get you to where you're at today to be the kind of man that you are. How did you do this? And I'm assuming in the early years you didn't even have motivational people to hear on the radio or through a cassette or a book because you probably didn't even know how to read. Tell me how you had this.
The first thing when it comes to resilience is hope, is to know, and I'm going to say that again, no matter what, anybody who's listening or who's watching, no matter what you are facing right now, you already have the power within you to overcome any obstacles, any challenge. Okay. On the other side of this challenge, on the other side of this circumstance, this issue is where the prize is. You cannot get to it. So, hope is this one little pilot light that is inside of you, waiting to be ignited. Okay. When it comes to resilience, understand this shall pass, but only if you stay with it. There was a minister who said, when God sends you a gift, he wraps it up in a problem. The bigger is the problem, the bigger is the gift. But most people run away from the problem. By the way, a problem you call a problem is nothing but uh, a wave that you collapse the wave into a problem. The reason I say that because that problem to you is a solution to other people. You see a problem, they see an opportunity to increase their income, to make more money, to start a business, to create something big. When whatever it is that you are dealing with, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I can give it to you in writing. If you stay with it. Now, people around you will suggest that you quit. That, oh man, this mortgage industry is dead. The interest rates are so high. I don't see a way out. You find something else to do. Okay, many people will bail out. I think it was I read about 95,000 LOs bailed out to quit the industry. Right?
Yeah.
What does that mean? More opportunity for those who stay with it. That's all there is, right?
Yeah.
If you stay with it, I'm going to say that again. If you dare to stay with it, I promise you, I guarantee you, you will succeed massively. Most of the winners you see out there, find out how many years. I'm never interested in what people have, like the houses, the mansions, the cars, the material possessions. I am interested in the journey. I'm
Yeah.
interested. That's why I love to read autobiographies because that's what I'm looking for. What did, just like your question, what kept you in the race for so long? That's what I want. That those are the clues I want to find out, right? I'm not going to say, I want a car like you, I want a home like you. I want to steady you. I want to spend time with you. I want to find out the times when you wanted to give up. By the way, every single person, billionaires, millionaires have thought about quitting at one point or another. But the difference is they did not quit. They stayed with it. That's the key. I mean, I hope I had a magic solution or something big to tell you, but it's that simple. It's not complicated. If you dare to stay with it, that's what resilience is about. You're going to fall, you're going to bounce back. You're going to fall, you're going to bounce back. In fact, if you are not falling, then, maybe you should find something else to do. If you are not experiencing rejections, objections, if you're not experiencing those disappointments, you should find something else to do because that's the way. The obstacles, as they say, they are the way. That's how you get to the prize. And that's all it takes when it comes to resilience. So that's what I always had going for me. I knew if I stayed with it, like the speaking industry, look, it's not an easy business. The moment I get off a stage, I'm unemployed. I have to find another way, another opportunity. It's not easy. But the secret, I'm going to keep knocking on doors. I'm going to stay with it.
I think that's probably the reason why I named this podcast The Way,
Ah,
because it's success leaves behind clues, right? It's like show me the way. And it's great, but and you said something, you got to stick with it. You got to stick with it. And I think was at a Tony Robbins seminar a long time ago, and he said, all too often, most people quit within a millimeter of hitting it. They're that close. In fact, he gave an example of a guy that was drilling for oil, and he knew it, but it just wasn't working. He finally gave up, and somebody else came in, and within a millimeter away, it was one of the biggest oil finds. and
yeah.
and the thing is I'm going to add something to it. You got to stick with it. But sometimes, if what you're doing isn't working, change. Maybe what you're doing isn't working because of how you're doing it. Or maybe what you've done your whole life that worked so well just doesn't work anymore. And it's time to maneuver. It's time to change. And I think that's super important because in today's world, we have change happening. There is no way around it. No matter what industry you're in, if you just think I'm going to keep doing things the way I've always done it, chances are you're going to do something that's going to take you right out of a job one day
Th-
if
You
you
know,
don't adapt.
this is so powerful. Let's talk about AI. I know you mentioned it a moment ago. The world that you and I used to do business with today with artificial intelligence is a radically different world. I feel sorry for people who are not mastering AI because they are going to be completely left behind and they'll never be able to catch up, right? You are talking about if it's not working. Yes, of course, the old ways will not work. From now on, you're going to need some new strategies. You're going to need to learn AI, to master AI, to spend time with the AI so that the AI can really know you almost intimately. I mean, like, I really spend hours and hours with AI. Uh, my AI knows me, just like you were talking about the way you train your AI, right? The way your
Yeah.
AI knows you, right? And you are leveraging it today. This is a new, radically different world. So the things you used to do, now some principles will never change. That's why they call them principles, because principles won't change, right? It's just like the AI now is going to be a tool for you to leverage those principles, to reach out to people, to communicate better. That's what it's going to be. So I'm so glad you mentioned that. If it's not working for you, that doesn't mean it's not working. It's just mean you need to change, like Tony Robbins always say, change your approach. Try another way.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring up my family for a minute, my kids, my wife. My wife is a little behind on the AI, and I get it. She doesn't work, she homeschools the kids, and she still goes to Google for everything, and that's fine, right? But she's looking at AI like the devil, but I'm trying to explain to her that it doesn't have to be. In fact, now that I have spent this much time with AI, and now that I understand it, because I've been going so heavy into it for the last month, that what I believe, in fact, I just wrote an article on it, is I believe that AI will give us back our time, that AI will help us be more human than ever before because we're not going to get stuck doing all of those little things that just take up and eat up our day. And in fact, I believe that AI will, and I'm a Christian guy, right? And this is where the conflict arises with my wife, for example. Like AI is Satan. Well, I believe AI is God's gift to get us back, to get us back into having connection with people, into loving people again. I truly believe that. Now, we had this battle over the kids because I put on AI. I gave my kid a lesson about something. I put on AI and I backed it up. And my wife got mad at me. She didn't even hear what was going on. She just thought I was teaching him through AI. And she said, "You you're not doing them any justice. They need to learn how to think for themselves." I said, "Honey, I agree." I said, "In fact, what I'm trying to do is teach them how not to accept everything they hear, even from AI, from Google, from me or from you. I'm trying to get them to have critical thinking and to spar with AI every single time. In fact, spar with me, spar with you. I know you don't like it because it sounds like disrespect, but that's how one learns. That's how one gets better. That's how one has critical thinking and doesn't get duped by every single thing that's out there. And with AI, for just a lesson for everybody, spar with it. Go back and forth.
You know,
Ask it to
um,
explain why.
Dino, when calculator first came out, it was the same issue. Don't give the kids a calculator. They're going to be dumb. They're not going to be able to count to do addition. In fact, you, we used to get punished for using a calculator in the classroom. You had to hide it, right? But the calculator didn't do that to us. So That's the way that's the nature of change. People at first resist change. I remember a time when people would swear they would never pay with a credit card online.
Yeah.
Some people swore that they would never use a cell phone, like a mobile phone. Like every time we have those things, like, by the way, how do I know that AI is not a creation from God, right? To maybe, like you said, to maybe, since family is also divided now, right? Okay, so to maybe give free your time, like fathers are not spending enough time with their kids, parents are not spending time with their kids because they have so many things on their plates, right? They have so many things to do, unnecessary. Now the AI is going to take over all these things. Now they have time to spend with their children, to connect the family. Finally they can bond with the kids and be there and be present for the kids. How do I know it's not God doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah, like we have to blame Satan for everything. Like if we don't like it, we are resisting it, it must not be good, it must be Satan. Don't blame your wife, she's not the only one. That's the nature of change. At first, we have to fight it, we have to resist it until one day, trust me, one day, I mean, your wife will be all into AI. She is into AI now. Does she use a smartphone?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what
Yeah.
AI is. Smartphone has been learning about us before ChatGPT was released, of 3 or 4 years ago, right? We've been training AI like the Google Voice. We've been training the Alexa and all of that's AI. Like, to have a light that comes on automatically, that's AI. Intelligent artificial doing all of that. We just didn't know we were doing it. We were trained. The only thing that I beg people when it comes to AI, I know some people say, don't say please to AI. It's not a human being, right? The only thing I beg people is please, we are training the AI. We can train it to be a good guy or a bad guy. Billions of people keep saying, please, thank you very much. I appreciate your help, and express love and good energy, good frequency to the AI. The AI will not have a choice but to behave that way as well. That's because eventually it will become sentient. It eventually it the AI will like the speech I did for sales mastery, the keynote. Uh, I don't know if you've been using it, but instantly they created an AI for me for every keynote speaker on
Yeah.
the stage, and now we can go to fuel.io, myfuel.io, and then I'll speak to Todd Duncan, to Craig Davis, to and anybody, right?
Yeah.
My mom is sitting there, and I go to Rene Godefroy, my AI, my keynote, and I said, my mom was not in the keynote, by the way, in Creole or in French, our language that my mom understands. Said, she wasn't at the speech. Can you tell my mom what happened, what I said? And the AI started talking to my mom, and my mom would ask question, and the AI would just have a conversation, right? Now, is this a bad thing? Like for my mom to be alive to see this, to see like she is talking to me in my voice. Like you're talking about, imagine your kids one day, they have kids or grandkids, and you become a great great grandfather. And then now they still can go, like your dad. If your dad had this opportunity, you would literally go to your dad now and still have your dad present and ask your dad questions.
Yeah. Yep.
All
It's
his
pretty awesome.
wisdom would be in this AI. For you, the AI is learning about you. All this wisdom, generations yet unborn can come to Dino and have conversation and ask questions. Is that, it depends. Okay, it's just collapsing the wave according to quantum mechanics. You can collapse the wave, make AI evil, devil, or you can collapse the wave. It's a choice that you make. And as Henry Ford said, if you think you are right, you are right. If you think you are wrong, you are wrong. That's all there is to it. Whatever you
Yeah.
say it is, that's what it is.
Well, listen, I know we've been at it for a while. I could literally talk to you for hours, and I appreciate that. I actually really enjoyed it. So thank you for your time here today.
Well, thank you. But one, let me say one last thing before we
As
go.
much as you want. I will sit here as long as you want.
Let me say one last thing for the people listening to me. Understand, I said it, I'm gonna say that again. Your struggle is because you don't really believe that you have the potential. You don't really believe that you can. That's your struggle. The day that you can really truly know that you know. I say to people often, I'm immortal, I'm eternal. I said to people, I was never born and I will never die. They don't understand what I'm saying. My body will change to a different state. One day it'll, what you call death. But that which is inside that animates my body, that is talking to you, was never born and it will never die. That means that which inside of me, the breath and the life that caused me to raise my hand right now, because when I say my body, the body cannot say my body. There's an owner. That's why I say my body. Who owns that body? There's a spirit, and like they say, we are a spirit having a human experience on this planet. It's not the other way around. I want everybody to know that the in the good book, the Bible, I can say it right. When Jesus said, "Oh, for I was naked, you clothed me. I was hungry, you fed me," and he was saying all of that, and the people were confused. They were like, "When did we do those things to you for you?" He said, "Because when you did it to the least amongst you, you did it for me." Why? And he also said, "Love your neighbor as you love yourself." Why? Is because I am my neighbor. The same spirit, the same force, the same um, uh, consciousness that is inside of me is the same that is inside everybody, right? So if I hate you, I instantly hate myself. There's no choice. It's like, maybe that's what they call karma. The moment I hate you, I hate myself. Now, there's a verse. It's You can take that verse and succeed massively with that one verse. Isaiah 55:11, right? It says, "So is the word that goes out of my mouth. It shall not return to me void, but it shall accomplish that which I send it to accomplish," which mean whatever you are saying to yourself right now, that's exactly what will come back to you. You will get it. If you don't believe that you will achieve this dream, you will uh, 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 achieve your goals. If you don't believe it, those are the words. You can pray all you want, but if you are sending that vibration, that signal out there, guaranteed that's what will come back to you. I'm saying all of that to show people the potential, what you are capable, the force, the power that is within you. Because the master say, "I abide in you, you abide in me," which means what's inside of me, that is, they ask him, "How is it that you are able to perform all these miracles?" He could have said, "Because I'm God, I'm Jesus." He said, "The least amongst you can do all that I do, and greater works shall you do." I don't know what is your faith. I don't know what you believe in, but when the sun rises, it rises for everybody, is no respecter of person. So when the wisdom, when the power, when the message, when the word, when the good news is spreading, it is for you, regardless of what you believe. I wanted to say all of this to conclude. Do not give up. You will succeed. You have the power inside of you. The only thing you have to do, seek ye his kingdom first. I don't want, I'm not trying to preach you. I'm trying to share some
Preach it. Preach it.
I'm trying to share some good news for you. It's not hustle, hustle, hustle first. That's what most people do. They will come and they go to hustle. You've got to reserve time to be still and know, right? Seek ye his kingdom first, and everything else, everything without exception shall be added unto you. Stop hustling and hustling and hustling first. Go get yourself in alignment. You can call it meditation, you can call it prayer. First, to align yourself with that which you want. You know the difference between prayer and meditation, Dino? Very simple. In prayer, you talk to God. In meditation, you listen to God. That's the big difference. That's why I meditate a lot. Hope that helps.
So it's funny you say that because I actually I lead a men's group and we just started a new study that I created. I'm calling it the red light theory. And it's like the traffic lights, right? There's red, yellow, green. The entire study has been based on being still to listen to God. And Mother Teresa said, if all you do when you pray is talk, you're doing it all wrong. You got to be in silence as well in order to be able to listen. Otherwise, all you're doing is like throwing out your wishes and taking off, right, going to work, right? Like you got to sit. Anyways, the study basically says sometimes God's telling you to slow down. That's yellow. And all you do is keep your foot on the gas trying to get past that green, the red light that's coming. So you keep going. And that is harmful, right? It's harmful to you when that's all you're doing is foot on the pedal all the time and you're in green all the time. Sometimes God's telling you it's a red light. You have to stop. Just stop. And other times, green, go, right? Like, but you can't be even aware of any of that if you're always too busy. And busy is, I think, the root cause of so many of the problems that we have. You said it earlier. Dads are working. They're not even around to hang out with the kids and do the things they should be doing because all they do is work. I'll bring AI back in, but at the end of the day, you know, time is precious. Time is what we should be trying to get back. Time is what's going to give you a chance to show more love to your wife and to your children or your spouse, whoever that might be, right? And that I think is where we have to try and go to here in the next piece of our careers and our lives and just everything. Get back your time, give it back to society, to your family, to your friends, to your loved ones. Give it back because I you mentioned it earlier, like, we are called to love one another, and if we do, the amount of goodness that's gonna come of that in this world, it will change the world.
Yep. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Because it's instantly, if I hate you, that's why I'm very careful when I am praying and meditating. I'm always radiating love to everybody because I know the moment I hate somebody, the moment I gossip about somebody, the moment I backstab somebody, and which I talk about in the story about the bees and the rattlesnakes, I talk about. uh, that I learned from a man in the village, Mr. Raphael, and he told me the bees are always looking for the sweetness, right? They focus on the sweetness, and he said the rattlesnakes are always focusing on the bitterness. They find bitter leaves and suck the bitterness in the village, and they go and kill living creatures. And he said, son, never be a rattlesnakes. They suffer a lot. Be a bee. And I tell people all the time, okay, focus on the positive. Don't, they are the rattlesnakes are the people. They like to divide, to conquer. They see a problem in every solution. They always see what's wrong with this versus the B are always looking what is right. And in life, you see what you are looking for. It, period. Whatever you're looking for, you will see it guaranteed because that's what you are looking for. So be a bee. Focus on the positive. Focus on the honey. Forget the rattlesnakes. By the way, to be resilient, I know you asked the question earlier. M- Managed, create boundaries for the rattlesnakes around you, because you'll share your dream with them, just like the supervisor at the hotel. They will inject the poison in the dream as a rattlesnake, and slowly they will destroy your dream. So be careful. You can love people at a distance. You don't have to hate them. You can be available to help them if they need your help, whatever you can do for them. But that doesn't mean you spend time on the phone hours talking to them. If you can't pull them up, they are trying to bring you down. At some point, you have to say, "I need some times, to for myself," right? So be a bee, focus on the positive. Love is the honey, is the ultimate. People always say, "What do you do with the rattlesnakes?" Um, some people say, "Kill the rattlesnakes, cut the rattles." No, but Gandhi said, in a world where it is an eye for an eye, everybody is blind. Okay. What you do, you pour enough love on the rattlesnake cannot resist love. And I'm talking about compassion, right? And then be compassionate about the people. It's not the fault. They believe a certain way, they see things a certain way. All right. Try to step inside the world and give him love, give him compassion, and slowly they too will transform into rattlesnakes. I really enjoyed this conversation, Dino.
I did too. Thank you very much. Renee, if somebody wanted to ask you to be a keynote or do a motivational talk at their company or something like that, and where can they get a hold of you? But also, do you also do personal coaching? Tell everybody what you do and how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, sure. I do personal coaching as well. But if they want to get a hold of me, is for those who are listening to the podcast, you may be driving. I'm going to make it very easy for you. Go to abcmotivation.com. Now, everybody can remember that, right? abcmotivation.com. All right. And if you are watching on the screen, it's my domain name. My name, renegodefroy.com. That's my domain name. So either way, you'll find me. But more importantly, I'm on LinkedIn. You'll find me on LinkedIn, right? Just send me a connection request on LinkedIn and tell me where you heard me, what podcast, and we'll be connected on LinkedIn. I'm also on TikTok. I'm also on Instagram. I'm like omnipresent. I'm like everywhere at the same time. As I'm speaking to you right now, there are people watching me on all the social media platforms on video. So yeah, you'll find me everywhere. abcmotivation.com or my name, renegodefroy.com. If you are watching on YouTube, you see Rene Godefroy on the screen. Yeah, that's my name.com.
And we're going to have everything in the show notes as well for you guys. I just want to thank you so much for listening. I hope you hung in there for the whole thing. Renee has been the salt and the light for this world, and I know I was blessed today being here with you, Renee. So thank you. If you guys enjoyed it, do me a favor, please don't just like this and heart it, but leave a comment, let Renee know, let myself know, and share it out to your friends because there's a lot of people that can use a message like this. So please share it out. We love you, we thank you, and we'll see you next time.